So it goes on to say this: the Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit, lends us the harvest element. All the more important, church festivals are survivals of old rites to the sun. How many times the church has decanted the new wine of Christianity into the old bottles of hedonism? Now listen to this. Listen to this quote, written in 1919, in reference to the church sometimes compromising. All the more important, church festivals are survivals of old rites to the sun. Quote, how many times the church has decanted the new wine of Christianity into the old bottles of heathendom. End of quote. Wow, pretty powerful, I think. Pretty powerful. In reference to Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit, and they lend the harvest element of All Halloween, the Celtic day of summer's end, was a time when spirits mostly evil are abroad. The gods whom Christ dethroned joined the ill-omened throng. The church festivals, All Saints and All Souls, coming at the same time of the year, the 1st of November, contributed to the idea of the return of the dead. See, what they tried to do was want to make a triumph over paganism, but it was syncretism. They allowed elements in. They allowed things that were not true. They allowed the error in, and there's a connection with light and darkness. And that's what we just read. Again, read it again, 2 Corinthians 6, and going into chapter 7, verse 1. There's a call to make sure that we rid ourselves from the moral decadence of the culture that ruins lives. And that's usually connected to the spiritual adultery, the spirits, the demons, and the practice behind the scenes. Let me give you another quote from the book from 1919. The Druids were the priests of the Celts centuries before Christ came. There is a tradition in Ireland that they first arrived there in 270 BC, 700 years before St. Patrick. The Celts worshipped spirits of forest and stream and feared powers of evil, as did the Greeks and all of the others. Early races. Very much of their primitive belief had been kept so that to Scotch, Irish, Welsh peasantry, brooks, hills, dales, rocks around in tiny supernatural beings who may work them good or evil, lead them astray by flickering lights, or charm them into 7 years of servitude. They are bribed to show favor. The name Druid is derived from the Celtic word druish, the meaning of sage. That is what it means. A couple more things from this old book. It's very important. I want you to hear this. For the oak, in reference to the tree, was held sacred by them as a symbol of the omnipotent God upon whom they depended for life, like the mistletoe growing upon it. Their ceremonies were held in oak groves. Oak groves. Now, Druids know this, pagans know this, Wiccans know this, even Satanists know this, the oak groves. Can I read you something I think is pretty interesting? Let's go back 2,700 years ago, the book of Isaiah. In reference to the believers of the Old Testament that got pulled away by the culture of that day, compromise. Here's what it says, quote, "You will be ashamed because of the sacred oaks. You'll be shamed because of the sacred oaks in which you have delighted. You will be disgraced because of the gardens that you have chosen." Again, going back to the gods and goddesses in the secret places. Now listen, I love the trees. I love the woods. I've told many times my friends over the years, if I had nothing else to do, I'd love to live deep in the woods. We were in New York, close to Plattsburgh, over the weekend last week. We were in some really beautiful, deep wooded areas. I did backpacking in the Smoky Mountains in the deep woods. I mean, just beautiful woods. Been to the Allegheny. I mean, I love it. I love the woods. God's creation that gives a witness to His presence, His power, His existence. Creation points to God. It pours forth speech, But when you exchange the glory of God and walk away from the knowledge of God, walk away from a relationship with God, then what's left is the spirits to get you to worship created things instead of the Creator. Isaiah 2,700 years ago, chapter 57. You burn with lust among the oaks under every tree. You burn with lust among the oaks under every spreading tree. You sacrifice your children in the ravines and under the overhanging crags. It's where the sacrifice and human sacrifice was done. They went into God's creation and turned it into their little safe havens. The oaks were a big place, the deep trees and deep hidden areas. And there's a real love of this because of the Celtic and Druid belief of spirits among the trees and so forth. Yes, that's right. Demons are here on the face of the earth. From the fall of the human race on, the demons are here. They're among us. The demons of water, demons in the forest and the trees and the rocks and all around us. And there's more coming than ever in human history, according to biblical prophecy. Let me read again Isaiah 57:5. You burn with lust among the oaks in every spreading tree. You sacrifice your children in the ravines and under the overhanging crags. Let me read another one. This goes back 3,000 years. Psalm 29:9. The voice of the Lord twists the oaks and strips the forests bare. Maybe in reference to this. In Hosea 4, they sacrifice on the mountaintops and burnt offerings. Listen, a couple of times in the last couple of years, I've been taken by those who've been through satanic rituals, a walk into the deep woods, but where the ritual site, where the sacrificial site, where the babies were killed. And I'm telling you, over a year and a half ago, I was taken in one place, and lately, up high in the midst of the woods, in the midst of the trees, going to a high place. It says in Hosea 4, they offer sacrifices to idols on the mountaintops. They go up into the hills to burn incense in the pleasant shade of oaks, poplars, and so forth trees. The Satanist says, in the popular Satanist Church of Satan, quote, Halloween is traditionally a time when the obscure porthole into the realms of darkness and death and supernatural is thrown open. Demons and spirits have free reign for one night, cavorting, enticing us into their revels and reveling glimpses into the future. As a child drawn to the darker passions from birth, I always delighted in the fear and fantasies of Halloween. That's what a Satanist says. So it goes on to say this, the